Oye, Beltalora, ni baratna chetaka. How are you doing, everyone? Welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, Stephen Stark. Joining me are my two regular, lovely co-hosts. So glad to everything be back to normal over the since last week. You got John from John Webster Film. You got Nessie from the Unspun Yarn. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, Steven, hanging in there.
Good. I was just thinking as you introduce the stream, it feels like an eternity since, not just since the last stream, because this has been a rather eventful week, obviously, but also the fact that last week was, you showed up, but it was me and some other guests, so it feels like it's been an eternity since we've had good old-fashioned traditional Here Be Dragons.
Right on, right on. Yeah, and you're not wrong. It's been a week. Um, as Americans, the three of us, we are privileged to live in a country that is most of the time fairly. I mean, we've got our problems, but this kind of political unrest is not one we're used to seeing. And my heart goes out not just to our country, but to the people around the world who have to deal with this on a much more regular basis than we do. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to get our minds off of that and talk about a series with no politics in it whatsoever.
It's a good way to get off of thinking about the stuff that's been going on. It's to go into a show which doesn't have any parallels whatsoever.
None whatsoever with things that might be going on in the world we live in.
I will say this too. Alicia Kingston is supposed to be joining us. She's running behind a little bit, but as soon as she gets here, we'll get her on, and we'll go from there. So we are specifically talking about episodes 4, 5, and 6. When we did the recap of the first 3, we kind of went by characters because everybody's storyline was so separated. But I feel like the way the plot is moving now, everybody is reacting to these big moments. So I'm thinking we're going to go back to sort of more episode by episode look at what's going on in the story.
Yeah, and what an episode that we start off with, huh?
Yeah.
It's the first 3 was the warm up, and then we've all just been holding our breath.
Yeah.
That's we're on that. We've hit the peak on the roller coaster, and we're kind of going over the hill, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, I was just telling you guys, like, I think episode 4 especially is one of the finest hours of this show. Which is not to say it was entirely pleasurable to sit through, because it was really stressful.
It really was, but yeah. I agree. Like, of these 3, 4 is the strongest in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, The Expanse doesn't know how to make a bad episode of television, but number 4 really knocked it out of the park for me as well. How about you, Nessie? You have the same kind of read?
Yeah, like I said, it was like that top of the roller coaster where we're just floating, and we're just waiting, and our stomach is just dropping, and we're just I'm just holding my breath, waiting for moment to moment to moment to see what's going to happen next. So yeah, it's just excitement.
And I do want to say, this is an observation I was thinking of, and I got to say, whatever you owe it to, whether it's the strength of just the entire team working on this, or the fact that you have the original authors heavily involved in the series, this is season 5 of this show. The show is firing on all cylinders in every conceivable way. I have my own opinions about other shows that we won't talk about, but it's easy enough to say that there's other shows out there where they were still very popular, but people, certain, areas of those fandoms felt that the shows were weakening during later seasons. Again, this is season 5 of the show, and I think it's as strong, or the strongest, that it's ever been. And I think that's remarkable.
I agree. It's hard to get this far into a story and for it to keep nailing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this episode actually starts off with a scene of Bobby and Alex, and it's a real subtle way that they tell us it's not just Earth that got attacked here too. I mean, they're doing their little sit and talk moment about like what they're doing following the Barkeith, but then the restriction comes up and it's a no-fly zone, and they pull up news feed, and that's when you hear that the Russian Parliament building was also bombed at almost the exact same time as the first rock hit.
Yeah. It was a very concerted strike, dual-headed strike on Mars and Earth at the same time. And like, what a coordinated effort, from these guys. We knew about one, we knew the rocks were headed to Earth, but it was like, oh yeah, Mars. What a concept. They've had their bombings in the first episode, but this was a big one. This took out their seat of government.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost all the more shocking just because that's how, we just hear about it on a broadcast right there. And because that's the surprise. And you're seeing the reaction of 2 Martians to that news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like as you say, we don't see it, and we don't have eyes on Mars at all anymore because our only 2 POV characters are in the same place.
Yeah, they're in this neat little ship that made its appearance again.
hey, let me see that again. Let me see that. Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
The Screaming Firehawk.
The Screaming Firehawk has been the Razorback.
I know it says Razorback on it, but it is in fact the Screaming Firehawk.
Legitimate salvage, man. Legitimate salvage.
I have to say, like, I keep getting my wires crossed every time I, am watching the show. I almost say the Razor Crest.
I know, right?
Hey, man, don't curse it. The Razor Crest got blown up.
Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry, I'm knocking on my table.
Yeah, so like I thought that, and this show does that a lot. There's a lot of really subtle things. There is an Easter egg from episode 6 that we'll get to when we get to the scene, but there's we talked about it briefly in our Slack group about who Christian has messages from on her device. We'll get to that. It's good. It's good Easter egg.
It was pretty good. Very subtle.
The next part of this episode was where we see Amos going into the pit to visit Clarissa.
Yeah.
And that's also, and like, it's maybe not the most compelling part of this episode, but it is really cool to see like that level of lockdown. And of course, that's what you'd have for people who are so modded that they're dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because when this scene came up, I remember it on the last stream, me talking about, I wonder who he's going to see. And you guys were all like, yeah, we're pretty sure who he's going to see. And I was just like, apparently not thinking clearly. And then this came up. I'm like, oh, duh, of course.
Right.
Yeah, Peaches.
And the thing about this scene, what's interesting, and I noticed this with certain other characters in the other episodes, is that the characters are so spread out, and there's different story threads that in each of these episodes, there's at least like one character story that we only get like one scene, and it's sort of like Game of Thrones in that way. In that once these characters sort of splinter off, sometimes you're only getting one scene from a certain perspective, and
hold that thought. Welcome aboard, Specialist.
Hello.
Specialist.
Greetings and salutations,
How
my
you
lord
doing?
and lady. I'm a bit out of breath, but other than that, I'm doing relatively okay. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic.
My apologies for my lateness.
I see that you are in a coastal city, but I'm judging by the lack of devastation. I'm going to say it's not too near one of the impact sites.
No, we were safe from the impact zones in our little neck of the woods. Yes, but we are grieving very hard for all those that were touched.
Millions.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't gotten all that far into it. Really, all we've talked about is the first two scenes of the first episode, i.e., with Alex and Bobby in the Razor Crest / Screaming Fire Hawk.
Razorback. Now you did it, Steven.
Razorback.
I said Razor Crest, didn't I?
You Razor Crested it.
Awesome. And it's probably going to happen again before this is over. And then we're kind of talking right now about Amos visiting Peaches.
I think their interaction is probably my favorite of this first episode here. It's an unlikely pairing, but I see how they connect, and I'm all for it. I absolutely love it, especially when we get into the next couple episodes with what they go through. I am here for all of that.
Yes.
So I love it. That's my basic gist of that whole situation. I love it.
Yeah, and just leave it to the Expanse writers to drop a line in there, especially like Amos gets the best lines, but to me, the best line this episode came out of Clarissa Mao when she said, "Not every stain comes out." And, you know, as when you're dealing with guilt, that's a real thing, you know, like
It is.
Talk about herself like that is, you know, you can tell that she's really feeling the weight of what she's done.
Yeah, and I like that she parroted back Amos's words to him when he asked how she was doing, you know, eat, sleep, shit, take my meds, breathe.
That hit me really hard because it almost felt like Amos is hearing those words back, but I think now he's, with his own eyes, seeing the extent of what that entails day in and day out, and the sort of guilt on his face of maybe saying that to her like it was like he didn't necessarily get the enormity of, you know, of what that means for her, and it's just him wishing he could do more, which he's going to get the chance to do, but at that moment he's, you know, I think there's a realization that he's kind of powerless to help her.
Yeah, but those words are what was keeping her going, has been keeping her going all these months, keeping her sane. It's just the words she keeps, her mantra, so to speak, to, you know, to keep herself from going insane in this situation. Yeah.
Keep herself from going insane in that situation. I mean, she's medicated for more than half the day. And then you have to make yourself still function for that. What was it, like 1 or 2 hours of yard time to walk around that she gets? Like, oh, granted, she grew up on Earth, but your bones still have to deal with that being still for that long period of time, being sedated, and then having to force it to move. That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do want to address Will Moss brought something up. He says he's not seen the most recent episode. So we're going to just cover it episode by episode. And before we get to episode 6, we will wave you off. I don't want to spoil anybody. It's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, 6 is a good one.
But make sure you come back and finish afterwards. Thanks for being here at all. Honestly.
Anybody have a flashing content preview?
Right. Yeah. So again, I feel like a lot of this is the setup for. Man, this episode set up itself and the episodes to come so well. But you know, it is a really compelling conversation between the two of them, and then when you get that crack in the ceiling there at the end, you know, lockdown, and then feeling cracks, and you're like, how far are we underground? That's a powerful hit.
A very powerful hit. And also, just to touch on something that Anna said also, that girl did all this for her dad, and that's why she's in the state she's in right now. And that man has not even tried to find her. Has not tried to see if she's okay. Nothing. And honestly, a little bit of tough love, because you should have listened to your older sister. She told you what was what, but you still kept trying to get daddy's attention, and now look where you are. And he still isn't looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in prison. His ability to try to contact her, they're both in prison.
Is he in prison? I couldn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was still out at large somewhere.
No, he was arrested at the end of
season 3.
Two.
Since I haven't done a full rewatch of the entire series, he's been such a sort of non-entity in the story since then.
Yeah.
That I kind of did forget if he was alive.
Totally
or dead.
Yeah. He gets, Holden captures him there in the it's not Ganymede, it's Io. And he went to prison after that.
And he deserved it, little bastard.
Yeah. I mean, he could be literally in the next cell over. Of course.
Yeah.
And she would never know.
Yeah, that's true.
But the pit is really, I guess it's reserved for these super
for the worst of the worst and super sedated. He would
or not sedated, because
if you volunteer,
they weren't.
But he didn't have any mods, as far as I remember.
Right.
So
Now did not. No. Jules Pierre just used his mind, his money, and his influence
in all of the worst ways, when he could have done so much better.
I'm gonna put it on the screen, but boo, Peadar, bad take.
Saving humanity, bro.
Nobody's surprised that with the terrible trolley take.
Just because I know how you think, young man, I'm just gonna give you a tisk, and we're not gonna go full in on you for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess the next scene is the scene that I liked the best. And that's the one where Christian is trying to figure out a way to get through to Gal. What am I missing?
I'm sorry, I want to recite a lot of her lines, but it would involve a lot of profanity. So.
It would. Fatten me up with macaroni.
Just insert profanity.
It's a great phone call. It really is.
The way Shoray delivers everything that Christian is, you feel that in your soul, man. Just if she could say 2 words and it would be the most moving thing of a whole scene. I just love how she portrays Christian.
Yeah, and you can feel her frustration just seeping through her pores, her anger and her frustration that she's not being heard or listened to.
And honestly, I understood what was it? What was her name? Nancy Gal. I understood what she was doing and why she was doing it. However, ma'am, you work for this woman for years. You know that when she is really on a roll, when she keeps coming at you with the same thing, more ferocious than the last time, and you still not listening to her, maybe you want to stop and pause and say, okay, maybe she might actually be onto something.
Well,
and
the thing that
what happened, you could have saved all of that. If you would have listened to Christian when she was first starting to talk about it, they could have at least only had that one impact, or they could have potentially stopped that one. But everybody kept trying to brush her off, and I get it. She was a pariah in politics at that point in time. But man, you cost lives trying to be a smart ass, and that's just not cool.
Yeah, to her credit, once it was very clear that Christian did know what was going on, Nancy Gal wasted no time.
No time.
satellites, and then when the guy tried to jump, she
do
it.
And thank goodness she did, because had she waited 3 more seconds, oh boy,
it would have been too late.
But see, that's what really enraged me, though, was like, yeah, she was willing to listen once it got to that point, but her freaking staff, man, that just infuriated me.
Well, it's to Christian's what's the word, benefit, I guess, that she remembers everyone and all these people's names, these minor details about everyone and everything, and who, not just who they are, but who's around them. She remembered the name of the chef who fed her and made her fat. She kept that little
me up on macaroons for years. Go do that.
Not only that, she had his contact information,
Still.
She was able to just get through that little crack, So
that is a person that does not waste resources.
No.
You never know when someone's going to be in a play where you're not even expecting them, you're not thinking about them, but this little thing happens and you're like, oh, I got it. Call him.
Say this. She keeps on top of what she has in her pocket, but she herself said she's burned every bridge around her.
All the big ones, yeah.
The big ones.
Which is why she had to reach so deep.
What if he hadn't, if he hadn't listened, because he's
Chef Casey, which is in fact named for Steven Seagal's character from Underhill.
Yeah, I remember them.
Little Easter eggs in here.
Yeah. I did not know that, but that brings a smile to my face.
I thought that was awesome too. Speaking of which, are you guys watching the after shows?
Yes.
West Chatham and Ty?
Yes.
They're doing really, really good.
They're so good.
I'll have to play catch up, guys. I haven't had a chance to watch them.
I really encourage it. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
Not that anything's going on, but
I've watched the first 3. I just haven't had the chance to catch up on the last ones.
Right on. Well, I have watched them, and they are definitely worth it.
Indeed, I do concur.
They have different guests every week, and it's always West Chatham and Ty Frank.
Yes,
Ty and that guy.
And I love how they made it Ty and that guy. So they're not making West like the poster boy for it. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, he is that guy.
He is that guy. He is that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that may have I don't know. That kind of thing might work for the first one, but it's like we all know it's West now. So
yeah. But they're really great. I'm watching them basically immediately after I watch the episode, so I don't remember everything that was said in this one. But
same.
But it just, this episode was such a ride. When that third rock hits and Gal's plane goes down,
and Christian has to see it, like we see that fear through her and that connection. And I sat on the screen looking like, that just happened. Connection lost. Oh my!
It'd be like the Air Force One going down if all something.
That's basically what it was. It was a UN one. That
UN one. Yeah.
But it's what you guys were just saying. It's those seconds were precious because they
millions.
To redirect.
Like had that man hesitated or just threw caution to the wind, then so many more people would be dying, and Marcos would be even worse than he is right now. Ugh.
Oh my God, he's so terrible.
He's the worst.
Like
I got some thoughts about Marcos and his crew, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Well, like I was telling Stephen and Nessie, like I came into this season like hating Marco's guts, and everybody is like, "Oh, but he's so charismatic, though." I'm like, "Screw that! I freaking hate the bastard." No,
right? I'm with you. I'm saying like, yeah, he charismatic, okay, but have you seen all the shit that he's been doing though? Like he's been in the background, creeping around like a creepy little spider the whole season.
They said Charles Manson was very charismatic as well, So was Jim Jones. Very charismatic people.
Yeah, how'd they end up?
The reason it's not working on you, John, is because he's not trying to convince you of anything. But if he was, he starts smooth talking you,
And he got that charisma, natural 18.
No, I'm convinced that the people who are falling for his shtick are idiots. Sorry.
I'm not convinced that all of them are idiots, and I have very particular thoughts on one of them. But again, we'll get to that when we'll get to.
Yeah. Well, not everybody misses their wisdom roll, so.
Right. Well, this is also the episode where.
Oh, Tycho.
Where we had a ship coming into Tycho.
Oh man, Tycho was sad.
And I didn't sniff it out in time either.
I didn't see it coming.
I did not.
Did not see it coming.
I mean, I didn't trust the ship that was coming in, and as soon as they started slowing, I'm like, I don't like this.
I didn't trust the ship, and there was a particular point where a slight look came over. I forget her name.
Sakai.
Yeah, it came over her face, and I started sighing. Like, wait a minute, ma'am. You've been okay here for a while. You're like, I appreciated your interaction with Holden when you was going through doing the ship and whatnot. You're personable, but now I'm like, oh, ma'am, there's red flags coming up.
Yeah. See, they completely fooled me because, and again, I have not read the books, and I knew people had talked to me about Bull as a character, but I thought just because he's a good guy in the books doesn't mean he was going to be a good guy in the show. Mm-hmm. And so my eye was always on him because, and yeah, it was obvious because he was Mr. Bad Attitude about.
I wouldn't characterize him as a good guy, but more of a protagonist type.
Okay. But so I was sort of suspicious of him, and my eye was off of her.
Yeah.
So when that
probably done on purpose.
Yeah. So when that shot got fired, I was like, "Holy shit! What?
No!"
And I was like, "No, don't die! Don't die! Please be okay." But of course not.
And if they would have had time after, I think, to get Fred taken care of, then we wouldn't have lost him. But there were so many
things going on
in that lock that there was no way he could have been saved because Holden had to put his attention in more important places. That I did not see that coming at all, and I was a little bit devastated. I didn't shed any tears that time, but I was a little devastated at seeing Fred go out like that.
And can I just say
after? Sorry, John.
All the credit in the world to Chad Coleman. What a performance as Fred Johnson. He did such a remarkable job over the course of this show, and I'm really sad to see him go.
Yeah, but
I had more and more respect for Fred Johnson the further into the series we got. We got his backstory. We know where he came from. We know how, he rebuilt his life and made Tycho Station what it is, and how the common man and woman belter he was, but still it wasn't enough. As they said, he was just a tourist, just a tourist. And that just hit me so hard, Yeah,
it's like the same thing they said about Julie, when she was really out there putting it in and trying to help the belt, and just all these unsung heroes that don't get the shine that they truly should in the struggle.
Yeah. I totally agree, but one of the things that separates this show from so many others that would try to be like it is that willingness to kill those characters, to build up Miller as the main character for the first season and a half, and then kill him to take out Fred Johnson very unexpectedly when he has been up to this point a pretty major part of the season.
Yeah.
And been integral in the show and had more to do this season than ever before. Ashford, same thing.
Ashford hurt.
Yeah.
You see all these moderating influences on the OPA are being taken out one by one. Last season we lost Ashford, and this season we lost Fred Johnson. So all of these more moderate, reasonable factors and voices for the OPA are being taken out one by one, and then the loudest voice that's left is our boy Marco. So he's been taking out the competition for a minute.
See, where is Anderson?
Dawes? I'm wondering where he is.
Yeah,
that's who I think might be a small, at least, distraction for Marco.
He's off filming Foundation on Apple TV.
Yeah,
sure where they were at. Yeah,
I thought he might still be hiding out in 1980s Russia, but I guess not.
But I really do want to see how he factors in here because, I mean,
to let someone that major just trickle away, I don't see them doing that.
Right. No, and I honestly think that he has his, I don't think his hands are clean in the current events at all.
Was it episode 3? We saw those videos of Kotyar running loose, and now the proto-molecule has been removed and in Marco's faction hands. There's something going on with that.
Yeah,
definitely ties back to Dawes.
It's getting talked about in the chat a little bit, but just how nuts is it that this is the point of the show we're at, and this is like the first time the proto-molecule has been even part of the plot line.
Right.
Yeah. So it's trickled off since Julie and Miller died, but it's become a pretty big player, especially even where the rings are concerned. Whoever destroyed the first makers of the proto-molecule, they're not too happy with humans at the moment. So I think they're going to come in a little later on as well. Probably not this season because we got enough to deal with Marcos, but that's going to factor in a much bigger way fairly soon.
Yeah.
Probably right.
Yeah, that proto-molecule was like the worst kept secret in the system.
What the worst, wasn't it?
The worst kept secret. It was like Chekhov's, proto-molecule hanging out there. We know it's there. It's there, and eventually something's going to happen with it.
Yep.
Again,
it's like
I just knows it's there.
And also, can I just say it's like. And again, I loved Fred dearly. I got choked up over his death. Sorry to see him go, but he's like, don't ask me where it is. It was in his office.
It was under his bed. Okay, it was under.
Oh my God!
I still think Fred would have put it in a better place than that, but I don't write for the show, so that's where it ended up being. And who did he secretly tell that it was in there?
Now, I know I said the best line was not every stain comes out, but maybe the best line is actually Fred Johnson's line of, Jesus, that's really how you go through life, isn't it? That was so good. I saw a button. I pushed it. I had the same reaction. I'm just like
bruh, it's like freaking Fargo on Eureka from several years ago. If you ever watched that show, Fargo, why did you push the button? I'm Fargo. I always push the button. Well, stop it.
Well, in Holden's defense, it's like he's like, guys, and they're just arguing behind him. So it's like, got to do something. At least it got their attention.
But good stuff. The drone attack was really cool. The
spider drone
clean on the robot. And I will say this too.
Did it remind you guys of the Miller bot from season 4? That Miller bot tech, the spider bot.
It didn't make me think of that.
It made me think of it right away.
And the fact that it's got multiple legs, but
and indestructible. And indestructible.
I hope things are okay. I'm sorry you just got bad news. Please take care.
Oh no, Kelly, love you. Tell us later. She said.
Yeah, be safe.
Oh man,
okay, be careful.
Kelly.
I know there's some bad weather all over the country, so we'll get an update from you after the stream, Kelly. I hope you're doing okay.
Yep. See, Mama Betsy knows what's up. Thank you for that confirmation. I appreciate that.
So I have also seen Eureka, and it is very good. I started watching it because Felicia Day's on it.
Felicia Day. Which character is that?
I don't remember what her name is, but she's a cute redhead, and she kind of gets into a relationship with Fargo.
She was the therapist, wasn't it? Oh, no. She worked at the main thing. Okay, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. Anyway, I love Felicia Day. She's awesome. But let's talk about the Expanse. Monica saved Holden's ass twice in that scene. Once when she knocked the gun out of Sakai's hand, and then I think the decision to go try to stop the proto-molecule from being stolen instead of helping Monica. I think that was the right choice to make.
That was the right move.
Yeah. But then, like, when he fails that, gets smashed in the face by a robot punch.
I mean, he had to try.
Yeah, he did.
That part I'll definitely say, okay.
But she saved his butt again by pulling him
out of the vacuum.
Yeah, or he would have been spaced.
Or cut in half by the door, maybe.
Yes. Oof. Yeah.
And that's one thing we're all give Holden grief. It's like later when she's boarding the ship and he's like, this is a military operation. It's like, dude, she saved your life a bunch of times just in the previous episode.
What military?
Come on. Oh my God.
I'm like, she saved your butt twice in 2 minutes, basically.
Yeah.
She's very, very fast thinking on her feet. That's what's going to keep her alive.
I had beef with her when I first met her, but she's got some layers. I think she could have handled some things better in the beginning, but yeah, I'm here for Monica. I like her character.
I don't know.
Well, and you can't, and you still, I don't want to say you can't trust her, but you can trust her not to be trustworthy. So, but she'll also, obviously, do the right thing.
When she has your back, she has your back.
People. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean that you don't need to watch her as far as getting the story is concerned.
If some other stuff happens, then we'll assess that situation when it comes. But here, I'm all team Monica.
Yeah, that clap back that she gave Bull was pretty epic.
So
I went through the ring
on this ship when we were first to survive.
Right.
That was great. I love that.
Given my proximity to the engine room,
I gave her a toast on that one.
Given her proximity to the engine room, and
went through first,
and the fact that they were doing a braking burn at the time, she might have been literally the first person to pass through the ring.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool.
I'm really interested to see where that in that dynamic between her and Holden goes, because one of my favorite parts of the previous episodes was when he was going through his messages and then she says, Holden, I haven't been completely honest with you, and he goes, I'm shocked.
Not even talking to her, just talking out loud to himself. Good stuff, man.
I got to give it to the writers. This is so realistic, because how many times have you gotten a message like that on your phone? You're just going through your messages and you're like, this motherfucker. Okay.
Right. And he probably said the same thing that I was thinking, like, oh, this bitch. What now?
Well, there's still one last sort of bit of this episode to talk about. And that is Naomi finally arriving on Marco's ship, and Marco kind of like claiming his victory and making his free Navy speech.
Oh, God. He has got such a punchable face.
Like you want to hit him with the punch, but then follow right up with the elbow. With the elbow.
Yeah, it's like
punch
elbow. I got you.
Right. Like, I love your hair, but I'm gonna need you to have all of the damn seats right now, my guy.
I wanted this to be a surprise, and then he throws up all this destruction. It's like, oh yes, anybody would be.
Like, oh yeah, what a lovely surprise!
That's what I wanted for Christmas. Thanks.
My favorite thing is they're watching her like I watch reaction videos to these fans sometimes. Like, because both Marco and Philip are just studying her face in that moment. They want to see her realize what's going on.
Philip especially, yeah. And I get it. Philip has a lot of misinformation in his head from his father, considering Naomi. And I understand, but you can already see the cracks because Philip is a young man coming into his own now. He's making his own decisions. Naomi's on because Philip made that decision. Marco didn't tell him to bring her.
Exactly.
Can I say, when I was watching, up to this point, I still hadn't figured out why on earth Philip actually brought Naomi. It's not until the later revelation, which we'll talk about, that I realized, okay, that actually makes complete sense.
I think he saw an opportunity to get actual information right from the horse's mouth. He didn't say it in that many words, but he was like, yeah, prepare for transport. She's coming with us. And everybody else looked at him all right, this ain't your father gonna be mad, but we're gonna do it because we don't want to get in trouble either. So
well, Sin didn't really have a big problem with it, he was
Sin still loves Naomi, and again, I got a problem with that girl, but this is the end of the episode, so I'll wait till the next episode to really bring it up.
Right.
Can I just say though that not that this stuff didn't hit this way when I initially watched the episode, but I think it's unavoidable that because of the events of the past, not even a week, couple days, this was really sort of harrowing to watch. The way that you have somebody, especially somebody like Philip, who's been brainwashed, into thinking a certain way, into taking part in in these things, and it just, it hit really hard. I was watching this just like, ugh.
Yeah. I watched episode 5 on Wednesday morning and 6 on Wednesday night. So it was rough.
I watched it before all that madness happened because I watched it Tuesday evening. So my experience was different than yours. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see watching it,
which did not help my my attitude towards Marco. It's like, if I hated him before, I hate him even more now, if that was possible.
And he's both at the same time with his interactions with Philip. It's just, you can see the mind fuckery going on, because
he's so freaking manipulative.
He praises him as a hero of the belt, my son. And then at the end, he's like, he was just a little boy who wanted his mom.
He needed his mommy. And the look on Philip's face, first of all, awesome casting, because that boy looks like he could be Naomi Nagata's son. That was really great casting in there.
Yeah.
But the look on his face and the look that came into his eyes, that's that punch, that Philip's been getting all his life from his dad. Yeah, okay, you did this little thing to make him happy, but you should have done this to make it better, or you should have not done this thing because it makes you weak.
Right. I mean, the operation that he just pulled off was like something that no belter has ever accomplished. A deep hit.
What is that? Parmesan and roasted
garlic Pringles.
Pringles are the best, man.
Yeah, Pringles are the bomb.
There's only one thing wrong with Pringles. You ready?
There's never enough.
I got little hands. I don't have that problem.
But you can see that's Philip's style of parenting.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever good enough, no matter what. Nothing is ever going to be good enough for him.
Yep. He's basically a less privileged Julie Gow's dad. That's exactly how he is.
Yeah.
And it's horrible to see, because I know we get to it later on, but Philip's really already starting to see, I think, the duality there, and that's why he grabbed Naomi. I mean, he's
a lot closer.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said you can see even in those moments he's a lot closer with Sin. Sin is more like that loving father figure that he had,
But you still gotta please daddy, and that weighs on a child's mind. I'm sure it's worse for sons and their fathers, but for I'll say maybe not for all girls, but for first kids, and I'm a first kid for both my mom and my dad's kids, that shit weighs on you heavy. to know that you're doing okay in your parents' eyes, you know. So I can imagine having a dad like Marcos and growing up the way Philip had to. Ooh, God, the untwisting and loosening of the belt around his neck. I can imagine how hard that is and how much his brain synapses are going off, looking between Sin and Marcos and trying to really find common ground. Like, again, he's a young man coming into his own. He's not going to be wanting to listen to Daddy for bad or good. He's not going to want to just straight up be listening to Daddy's word every time. And that's why Marcos is really going in on him now, because he sees that.
Well, and like, he uses the carrot and the stick, so to speak. Like,
yeah,
he praises, you know, whenever you do exactly what I tell you, I'm going to tell you how awesome you are. When you do something I don't like, I'm going to call you talk about you standing in front of you like you're a little boy, publicly shaming you. And
I know earlier I said everybody who actually listens to Marcos like an idiot, but if you're actually, you know, someone who's been raised by him, you know, since, you know, you were a tiny child, then, you know, it's ingrained in you. So it makes perfect sense that, you know, he leans on every word that Marcos says. And when Marcos says, you know, talks down to him like a child, that's, you know, because he knows exactly what he's doing. And that's very good to
you know, it's like, it's I don't know, I can't remember how far this is jumping ahead. When the scene where they're having dinner, what happens after the room clears and it's just Marcos and Philip in there, where, you know, it seems like they're, you know, playing around roughhousing, but if you really look at Marcus's actions and how hard he's going into Philip there, and Philip even looks a little bit worried until Marcos sits down and you know, has the fatherly tone again.
Oh yeah, he was definitely exerting dominance.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you know, I just and Philip sees it. You know, he says, you're upset with me, and yeah, and it comes out. You know, the way Marcos twists it. It was like, see, I'm upset because you don't even know why you really brought her here.
Mm-hmm.
No, he knows. He just doesn't quite know how to articulate that. He knows what he's feeling. He just doesn't know what that feeling really is yet.
Yeah.
It's tough to see, because, you know, we can all see through Marcos's bullshit. I mean, I'm sure Sin sees through Marcos's bullshit, but he's a loyal friend for one.
But
and
he believes
he is a belter, you know, he's for the belt. So he sees the most power with Marcos, so that's why he stayed with him. But oof, that scene that's gonna come up later that we'll talk about. Sin was the man.
Mm-hmm. That's not till episode 6 though, so.
Yep.
Speaking of, we really should move on. We've been going.
I do just want to say though, the ending of the episode, like, just Marco's speech is just chilling. I mean,
yeah, he makes that loss into such a big win, and I'm like, oh, dude, just.
And that's when, like I was saying, if I hated him before, I hated him more after this, because I just wanted to strangle, you know, while he was delivering that monologue.
Yeah. But that tells you how powerful that is.
Indeed. And also, because I think it was really this episode where I noticed it, the woman that's usually with Sin, the dark-skinned lady, I don't remember her name because I don't like her. Carol. Yeah. Is it just me, or does it seem like she's had a long history of being jealous of Naomi?
Yeah.
So it's not just me that's reading her that way.
Oh no.
Because from like the first 5 minutes, I was like, okay, if y'all rolled around back in the day, why ain't you acting like Sin? And then to see this episode and how she was talking, I said, oh, you want the deed. That's the issue. You know, when she was talking with Naomi, talking about, you know, you were always walking around like you're smarter than everybody else. Well, it's Naomi. She was smarter than most of y'all.
Like, if there's not
sorry about it, but that's like, just is what it is.
if there's not a fight scene between those two where Naomi
coming up
kicks
with
the living crap out of her, I'm going to be very disappointed. I need that.
It's not going to happen though.
No spoiler for what's coming, but like,
now. Just say it might not happen.
Oh, it's going to be drummer for sure.
Maybe.
I think Kamina I don't think Kamina going anywhere just yet. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Potter, that's some high tier trolling right there.
If only Aaron Wright was around, he would have been able to sort Marco out. And bullshit. I'm gonna call bullshit on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Look, there's no need to call bullshit on it. It's Potter. This is what he does. This is why we keep him around.
Yeah.
This is why you keep him around.
He is our pet Irish troll, so to speak. You know.
I've enjoyed seeing you in the chat. I do appreciate your banter.
Yeah.
How many of you guys got chills over that speech that Marco put out to the broadcast among out to the belt?
I spent that whole speech shaking my head, looking at him like, ugh, bruh.
Well, and again, a lot of the stuff is very recognizable to us, which just made it all the more infuriating.
Yeah.
I just got no tolerance for that.
I have very little tolerance for it. Lightweight from my background. Unfortunately, the only reason a lot of people know about the country that me and my family are from is because of Jim Jones. Yeah. And that bothers the shit out of me, and it shouldn't, because I was nowhere ever. But oh my goodness, like, bruh. Oh, and I see like that same rhetoric in Marco's speech and his actions. I'm like, dude.
Yeah. I think we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Before he went on the stream. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them charismatic leaders. That's
charismatic leaders.
Excuse me. I gotta say hello to Crack and Tacos rolling through.
Hey,
man. Nice to stop by, if even only for a second. It's always nice to see you, buddy.
Always. Yeah, it's like our guy Frank Herbert said, author of Dune, challenge your charismatic leaders, man. Don't just be following that bullshit.
That's the danger.
Don't drink the fucking Kool-Aid. That phrase is a phrase because of fucking Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Okay. Does that bring us to the end of episode 4?
It is.
I mean,
the belt is free.
A lot of time.
Yeah, the belt is free.
The belt is free forevermore.
We gave this episode a lot of time because I think it deserves it. The 2 further impacts and the way it immediately just shakes the foundation of every storyline. That's going to be something we feel.
And
the rest of the series.
Yeah, again, I just think it's one of the most powerful hours of the entire series. So I'm glad we spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah. But we are going to move on. Oh, actually, I did want to say one more thing. The title of episode 4 is Gaugamela. I don't know. It was a battle fought by Alexander the Great, whose army was much smaller than was it the Persian or Indian?
Persian.
Persian army, where he defeated a much larger army through tactical brilliance and asymmetrical warfare, which is what Marco Inaros has done here.
Which, again, I have to say, like I mentioned before the stream, I really do feel like, even though, Marco is a fictional character and he's not naming the episodes, it's like he's the one who considers himself Alexander the Great.
He's kind of like a demented Ozymandias.
Yeah, he's just so insufferable. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yes.
Which Potter points out, Pella is where Alexander the Great was born, which is Marco Inaros' ship.
And Pella is Marco's ship. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely someone's been reading his Earth history.
It's funny how he's modeling himself off of an Earther.
You all for the belt, huh? Okay, you all for you, like Naomi said.
Yeah.
Nothing in the universe is new.
Not at all. Not at all.
No. Okay,
No.
well, let's officially move on now to episode 5, titled Down and Out.
Did you want to do the mid-roll or hold off on
Oh yeah.
Oh crap. Yeah, I guess we should. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do the mid-roll. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. This is the part where I say please like, please subscribe. We talk about nerdy stuff all the time. We'll be covering more Expanse hashtags soon. That being said, I'm going to shout out the patrons right now so I don't forget, because I almost have forgotten a couple of times. And our Council of Patrons is Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, a.k.a. Bronte. Hang on to that name. It's going to be mentioned again here in just a moment.
Oh, my.
Sir Maura Lee of Starfall. Sixto Sounds, a.k.a. JP the Axe Grinder. And, of course, our alpha patron, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, who is probably listening to us at work. We love you guys. Thank you so much for your support to our high counselors. But they are also attended by the lords and ladies of the realm, including Lady Leaf Underhill and Aemy Blackfyre, lover of poles. Yeah, so thanks to our patrons. If you want to become a patron of Here Be Dragons, the information links down in the description, as is links to everyone here's social media and channels, including Alicia's links are down there too. So everything you need to find us in our online spaces is down in the description below. Yeah, so we'll go guests first. AK, you got anything brewing up over in your neck of the woods? Stuff you're going to be showing up on soon, doing soon?
Unless I'm forgetting something, not that I know of currently, actually. I really do need to to buckle down and get my stuff together, because there is a series of things from my childhood that I would like to touch on. I'm probably gonna yell at Aemy about that in a couple days. If I don't, Aemy, do please remind me, because it always helps when I have somebody on the ball with me.
Yeah,
snap me over the head like, yo, okay, you slipping.
Wouldn't know anything about that.
Monero, I do know, is gearing up to do some Watchmen things. I might be on a discussion with her with that. I know she was going to do some essays on there. So yeah, tune into Monero Geek TV for that, because she's awesome. And also, I'm still brushing my shoulder off, and Nessie and Aemy should be as well, because we got our stream got tweeted out by the creators and writers of The Blood of Zeus. Awesome show. If you haven't checked it out on Netflix yet, please do, and then go and watch our discussions, because they were awesome.
Right on.
Besides that, I don't have too much coming up. Hopefully I'll hear some Lovecraft news soon. If I do, I'll definitely let y'all know. Keep my ears down to the pavement on that one. But besides that, yeah, I'm just here rolling with you guys, man. And this was a fluke, honestly. I sent Steven a tweet like, yo, bruh, I got thoughts.
Yeah. She's here.
Come on.
I had reached out to a couple of people who had not been available, and then I get this DM on Twitter from AK going, do you have a guest? And I'm like, I do now.
That was basically it. So I'm very glad that you didn't find a guest. I'm sure there are probably some cooler people out more than me, but I'm glad I was able to be here.
Nah, it's always great having you, AK. There's a reason,
I love being here. I heard
we keep having you back,
And speaking of which, Aemy and I really want to have you on John's film next month. So
February, yes. Yeah. I keep thinking of that on like off times when you're like not in my face, or I'm not talking to Aemy, and then I don't remember it until you guys say it. So yeah, that's coming up in February, but it's not going to be on my channel. It's going to be on John's, I believe, and we're going to be talking some things through Black History Month. So look out for that.
Good choice. But so Nessie. Oh man, thought I could sneak a chip in before I got back to you. What's coming up over there on Unspun Yarn?
I've got a couple of visitors that are going to be coming on talking some Arthurian content. This guy is going to be on Thursday, the 14th.
What?
That dude?
You're fine.
That dude? Yeah. And we're going to be talking about Merlin, which is a perennial favorite.
Oh, which one? The old Sam Neill one or the new one?
We're going to be talking about the character of Merlin.
Merlin. Oh,
yeah.
Merlin.
Yeah.
So,
Merlin is an archetype, but we're going to be
right.
touching on him
yeah.
in many forms.
Oh, yeah, you have me.
The many forms of Merlin.
Although, actually, I'm really glad that you said that, AK, because I am considering actually, because since I'm the one who gets to design the title card, I really love that miniseries, so I might use that, even if there's a lot of people who don't recognize it. That's I love Sam Neill as Merlin.
You got to use the animated Merlin from Sword in the Stone.
It'll be one of those two.
Migatus mum, prestidigitonium. Thank you.
Can I give a slightly honorable mention? John, you might or may not have seen it, but Patrick Stewart recently did a small version of Merlin on I can't think of the movie now, but give me a second. I'll look on Netflix. There was a rendition of the new Knights of the Round Table and the new King and Merlin having to come and help him out. Patrick played the older version of Merlin in that movie, and he was a kooky old guy about it, and it was interesting to watch.
I can't believe I don't know about that.
Okay, guys, we're going to save this conversation for after. Nessie, you've got a Merlin stream with John coming up. What else?
I've got a Morgan Le Fay stream with our good buddy Erin M. She's going to be coming on, and we're going to be talking about Morgan Le Fay. What? Yes. So it's going to be a very magical month.
Erin's one of those people that doesn't come on streams a lot, but when she does, she really makes her presence felt.
You definitely
really? No, I was not aware of that. She's usually very quiet.
That's your emphasis, right, John?
And completely without opinions, also.
Yeah.
Can't have one on without the other.
Okay, well, looking forward to that. I'll getting into that deep Arthurian stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I just keep cracking up about. I say it over and over, but the fact that one week I'm on, talking about Merlin, and then the next week my nemesis is on talking about Merlin's nemesis. It really is perfect.
It's good stuff.
It's not like I didn't plan it that way, John.
So speaking of the stuff you're doing, John, what do you got coming up? A Merlin stream?
Yeah, got that. That's gonna be next week, and then on Saturday, right after that, Aemy and I are going to have our good friend Kate Bertinsky on to talk about Mean Girls, which I've never seen before. So it's going to be a first for me. We're actually going to be doing a watch party in our Slack group this coming next weekend. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then the week after that, we're having Kelly, Jaded Redhead, and Amy's best friend Jenna on to talk about the first X-Men film. And then after that, we're doing a little movie called Pan's Labyrinth that somebody is going to be on for, along with Cecilia from Dietz Derulia. And yeah, so this month really is just a blast as far as the movies we're covering. So yeah.
Somebody tell John to hit me up for an X-Men chat, especially if Storm is involved.
All right, we're writing you down. There will be no shortage of it, because I know that this is just for the first film. We're also going to be obviously doing a stream, in the not too distant future on the X-Men 2, and then probably the animated series, and lots of stuff down the road, because we love X-Men. So.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Pan's Labyrinth, but last Saturday of the month, right?
Yes,
I thought so.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'll go now. My turn. Tag. I'm it. I haven't scheduled that far into the future, but next week it's going to be something decidedly less nerdy than we usually would cover on the channel. We're going to be doing a fandom spotlight on Cobra Kai. which
I gotta catch up on that show.
I love that show. Love it. And I'm very happy to be joined by, you've seen her recently quite a few times on the channel. Cecilia from Geeksteria will be back. She invited me to talk Cobra Kai on her channel. Unfortunately, I was not able to do that because I travel for work. But, it is what it is. And she's watching The Expanse right now and getting caught up. I think she's near the end of season 2 right now. So happy to have created another Expanse fanatic. So yeah, it'll be her, and then John Bronsteen is going to be joining us because apparently he's a big fan of Cobra Kai, and also someone who I kind of know through Twitter, but I don't really know him well, but he's friends with Cecilia. His name is Fofo Rivera. He will also be joining us, and that will be us. Nessie, I know you got work next week, and John, you haven't seen Cobra Kai because
I haven't, and honestly, this worked out good though because since I'll also be doing the stream with Nessie next week, and to quote Bilbo, I feel like butter scraped over too much bread. So it'll actually be nice to have a Sunday off where I can sort of catch up and take a breather. So, but I will get to it eventually. I haven't been super gun ho about this show myself, but I'm gonna give it a shot because you do rave about it, Stephen. I'm just gonna get to it when I'm a little less stressed out.
Right.
So I have watched season 1 of it, Stephen, but I haven't gotten as far as you have. Left Dad likes it. So.
Yeah, I literally binged it all of season 3 the day it came out. So yeah, that is what it is. I will say this too. We're going to be continuing to cover The Expanse. I'm not sure what's going to be week after next. We might talk about whatever of WandaVision is out up to that point, because that's another show that I'm just like.
When does it come out?
Friday.
Oh, fuck! I gotta get Disney Plus. Okay.
Yeah,
and this is like something that I'm genuinely excited for. I mean, I'm not the biggest MCU fan in the world, but this looks really cool. And
if early reactions to it, like the critics and the people in the entertainment media who've seen the first 3 episodes, pretty universally raving how great it is. So looking forward to that.
You think they're going to do a 3-episode drop?
I hope so.
Oh, are they doing?
I don't think they will. I mean, they did a 2-episode drop with Mandalorian this season.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
Oh no, that was the first season.
It was the first season, yeah.
So I don't know, probably not, but
it'll be good.
And so we may not cover it in 2 weeks. We'll see what's out. We'll find it. But WandaVision coming soon. Other than that, not sure. Karate Kid Watch Party sounds great, by the way. You should cover that movie on John Webster.
Well, I mean, yeah. We'll add it to the list, Stephen.
Yeah. Okay, great. The bottom of the list.
So we should get to it in about 3 years.
I was going to say about 2025, right?
Before John says, I need a break. Oh, Stephen, here's something else to watch. Go do it.
No. I know how it goes. I also know that Amy's doing the scheduling, so Amy's the one I need to poke. Okay. That was a long mid-roll, y'all. Let's talk about this episode 5, shall we?
Yeah, this is kind of like the pinch point.
This is. And to be honest with you, my reaction to this episode when I watched it was, that was good. It left me a little bit wanting, probably just because of the such high bar that episode 4 set. Episode 5 left me going, it was good.
I think I was more impressed by it than you were, Stephen, but I expected sort of a more return to normal level after the chaos of episode 4. So but I quite enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, episode 4 was the standout of these episodes. So I don't think it's any great insult to say that episode 5 wasn't quite as good, but it was still great.
It still had you sitting right on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
With
I'm sorry, I did really enjoy, Amos just calling the guy tiny for the whole episode.
The whole episode. Yeah, he does that. He that's how he he has these nicknames that he gives these alpha male types to just kind of bring them down a little bit, just play on that mentality, like he could never get Murtry's name right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this episode actually starts, I think, with Drummer and her crew basically getting the invite from Inaros.
Yeah.
Which is a nice way of saying, at least as I interpreted it in the moment, come pay homage to me.
Come kiss the ring.
Come kiss the ring publicly where everybody can see it.
Can I touch real quick on the fact that Kamina is living the damn life?
Oh yeah,
her little mini fleet going down
faction.
She has this whole awesome poly community where everyone is in love with everyone, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, the polyam
damn thing, and I appreciate where the fuck she's at right now.
It's the polyam builder fam.
Yep.
I mean, that's not for me. That's not my stilo, but I love seeing her do it, and she does it well.
I'm sorry. I know this is like off topic, but AJ, I'm just going to throw this up because it's freaking hilarious.
I had to do it. I couldn't help it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm really impressed that you know how to spell Jawoof.
Jawoof.
I spelled it. That's how Aemy spelled it. I thought that was status quo.
I cannot believe that that's taken off.
Yeah,
have you met
that you finally embraced it.
He act like he don't know who we are.
Right. So anybody want to talk at more length about this scene?
Well, her first thoughts go straight to Naomi. When this happens, yes, it's dangerous. She has time to think about her response, but her first thought is for her friend and what she must be feeling and going through right now. She doesn't know where Naomi is, but she knows if she's anywhere, she's gotten this news, then how devastated that she must feel, knowing she's actively trying to save her son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one thing that always hit me. I've always loved seeing their friendship and how well they can read each other and just how well they vibe as awesome women being awesome together. It's just really, really cool. And the fact that her first thought goes to Naomi is remarkable. I mean, we already saw her stamina. We know this woman. Cara Gee has done a great job of telling us exactly who Kamina Drummer is, and it's phenomenal to see. And she is still got the little bit of that hardness to her, but she's captain of a mini fleet. She's got to be, but she's tempered now, and I give it a bit more to Ashford than anyone else that. She can get in touch with her feelings and be okay actually feeling now.
And she's feeling so much guilt. She's feeling so much guilt right now because she was the one who didn't space Marcos when she had him. She was trying to think of the greater good, the belt, this, that, and the other. And she made that decision in that moment. And, we were all kind of like, I don't know about this. Maybe this isn't like the best thing. But yeah, that was when she thought she could reason with this man, that she could work with him, before, I don't know, all this happened. And,
it also goes to
and Ashford.
What Marco said himself is that, he said to Ashford, about lacking the imagination and you still don't see it, do you? I think a lot of people didn't see that he would go that far.
Yeah. They thought he was still playing small fry, but he's been in the background building up power for a while. You know, it was Bob that introduced us to the back dealings of Mars, you know, for as gung-ho and stickler to the rules, like they basically are the rules in the way they run their military society. But no, they are not out to
Peadar.
I mean, if we go all the way back if we go all the way back to episode 1, season 1, and that belter that Avasarala had in the tank, he was in that tank for smuggling Martian tech. And now we see the fruition of of that first scene, what that Martian tech has the capability to do in the right hands with someone with some imagination, you know.
And you know, the only person that's really been trying to peep on Mars from the beginning, Christian Avasarala. She was the one doing that interrogation of the brother. She lightweight got in trouble for it, but she still got the information, and she kept that in the back of her head throughout this whole time, and that's why she was able to put together that it was Marcos behind all that shit.
And but I still remember my feelings going back to that first episode, and I don't know that my feelings have really changed all that much about, you know, feeling not so great about, you know, what she was doing in that scene. But that's what's so brilliant about this show, is that there's only shades of gray. You know, you're not gonna feel good about your, you know, the people who you consider to be the quote unquote good guys, because they're going to do things that they feel they need to do, you know, regardless of, you know, of how dirty their hands are. And I mean, this is truly a
society where you have to just choose the lesser of, you know, 7 or 8 evils.
The lesser evil. Speaking of another show,
you know, there's Mars, there's Earth. They're all bullshit. When the question was posed to me after I started getting into the show, I was always like, yeah, I'm going with the belt. They do some fucked up shit too, don't get me wrong, but they're a little more, you know, deserving of you know, all this stuff that's going on. You know, they've been trying to come up for a while, and everyone keeps shitting on them. So you kind of expect things like this to escalate, but still, I'm if I ever had a chance, I'd stab Marco in the fucking throat. Yeah, this is how I feel.
Yeah, and it's not really unusual that a faction of the OPA and a faction from Mars would join forces in that way, because they actually have a lot more in common
against Earth,
than they do with Earth. Both of them, you know, they've got that umbilical cord still. You know, they can't feed themselves or without the assistance of, you know, the system that's been set up. And this Earth, people on Earth can just walk around free and breathe free air, and they don't have to live under a dome. You know, Mars is in space. Mars has had those same privations for, you know, its history, and it's not unusual to see that a similar mentality could find its way to one another, you know.
When you look in between the cracks of all of that, you see it up front with Earth. You know, everyone that's on basic, that ain't cool, and they're not really being taken care of like the government says they're being taken care of. Not at all. Same with Mars. You know, it's just there's all these inner workings, and then you get to the belt, and it's like, holy shit, it's even worse. Like Eros used to be awesome and on and popping for what I hear from back in the day. It was a great popular place, but then, you know, this new thing came up and something happened, and Eros became like the hood of space, and they felt cool experimenting with people there. So I get how Marcus has this anger to all the things that he's done up to this point. However, you still got to find better ways of dealing with stuff than killing innocent people, because now you're no better than Earth. How are you different? This is more of the same to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had this discussion on one of the previous streams that, you know, yeah, there's reason for all the Belters to, you know, feel great anger, but you don't resort to, you know, to genocide. You know, that's a conscious decision, and you know, and obviously he's a very selfish person. He does all this for himself, not for the Belt.
Yeah. And Potter makes a good point there, and it was also brought up in one of Mark Oates' speeches about the ring belt, the ring gates, that, you know, that isn't even for the Belters, all these new worlds that are opening up, because they can't survive there. You know, he said Naomi's, you know, we saw her try to adapt to go down on Illis, and that was just point in your face. You know, it would be nearly impossible for these people who, you know, to survive on those planets. And even if they do, by some miracle, their children, as they said, will no longer be Belt. There'll be something different. They'll be
what a catch-22 to put your future in. Like, you want this independence, you want this new land, but then it takes you away from what your heritage really is at the end of the day. So that's a hell of a dilemma to put on there, and a very valid one that I think a lot of shows that try to make these type of situations miss. So The Expanse, if you're ever watching this, we think you're awesome.
Oh, you know, they watch it every week.
I hope so. I hope somebody does. Not even gonna lie.
Well, I'm pretty sure Ty Frank and Daniel Abraham are in the chat right now. So, hi guys.
Hi.
I know it's a cool feeling, isn't it, Stephen? Aemy and I have been very happy to see Kira show up in all of our streams when we talked about her movies. So, you know, it is pretty cool.
Well, I don't ever watch those streams. That's why I'm not aware. Okay, well, let's move on with the episode. Amos and Peaches trying to get out with the guards, and is his name Konachak? Because like
Konachak.
What a great character that was too. Like, if there's ever, because Amos is Amos. Like, if you're gonna have somebody who's gonna be like a match, or really like an outmatch of Amos, I think you found the right actor. This dude who's 9 feet tall, and you know, then you cover him in all the stuff that makes him look modded.
He's like, you know, raging, like, let me out of here, I have rights. And then they open the door, he's like, oh, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're holding guns on him, so he's like,
it's like how Taco Waititi, when he was doing the Cord character, how he said he modeled that after the huge, big Samoan guys in his country that all look like they're just massive trucks that will punch you in the face at any moment. But when they talk, they're the nicest and sweetest, most polite people you've ever met in your life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really great correlation here. And he's psycho. Don't get me wrong. Tiny's absolutely lost all of his marbles and is a ridiculous truck of a human with those mods, but he's entertaining, damn it.
Yeah, it's just like a one-off character. He, you know, they introduced him briefly in the previous episode. Like, we see him, okay, this is an example of the prisoners here that they keep here. Mm-hmm. You know, and then, oh, look, there he is again.
And they didn't overuse him, because an attitude like his could get old really quick. So they put him in for what they needed, and then they had, you know, the perfect person to, you know, help finish the problem. My boy Amos came through.
Yeah, and really came through. And like, I don't know that there's much to say about the actual process of climbing the ladder and all of that. But I do appreciate that when we get to the
this random nitpick, why did you let the guard? I don't care about the you know, rock paper scissors nonsense. The guard that had the bum knee to start off with should not have been the first one climbing the damn ladder. Yeah. I don't know whether he was thrown off or if he actually fell, but it's very plausible to me that he did really just fall. Like, you just had your knee smashed in by some rock, dude. What were you doing trying to go up that ladder?
It's plausible, but I don't actually.
I'm almost sure that homeboy just
to the face
and kicked him off. But again.
Which is why it's so great that he meets
they open the door for him to do that.
On the way, yeah. Yeah, but now that you say that, it really doesn't make sense to make the guy with the bad knee be the one to go up. It's like, really?
I do like that the female guard that they had there, though. She was still trying to stick to the rules, but once Amos, and it's again why Monero says, and I agree, everyone needs an Amos in their life. When Amos really explained to her what was going down, like if you're still waiting to hear news and orders and whatnots, there might not be anybody up there. So we need to try to get out of this nonsense now before it collapses even more on our heads and we can't leave.
I'm glad they all saw the cracks on the wall,
Yeah, thank goodness, and she was the one in charge of those other two guards, and she made the call. And I thought that was very smart of her to do, because a lot of times in these situations, everybody does the wrong thing. And I'm glad they kept it real on this.
Yeah. If they just reverted to protocol says stay in place, they'd all be dead right now.
And because of that, honestly, the one guy, he followed his superior's lead. He's the one that told him, I got a bad idea, but it's an idea and it could work. And it did work, because he told them to let Tiny out.
Wasn't such a good idea for him, though.
I mean, truly, it wasn't a good idea for everybody, really, in the long run, but it served his purpose, and he got rid of when he needed to go. Like I said, they didn't overuse him. I think that flowed very well.
Use your resources. What resources did they have?
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, like, watching Amos fight dirty in that moment at the very end when Tiny's got him up by the throat and he looks like he's about to throw him down the well.
And then, he would have if he wouldn't have got shot.
And then he gets shot. And then as he turns around, Amos fully kicks him fully in the crotch.
He does like a backward
suplex.
German suplex, in case you want to know the wrestling term, German suplex. So.
Yeah, okay, German suplex.
And I just loved the sound effect of hearing him like
the
wall.
But just
that was great.
Amos is the guy, like, he's gonna kick you in the crotch as hard as he can, because then he's going to fight to win, and that was the winning maneuver in that moment.
And if he sees that even if he isn't winning, he's still gonna keep going until he gets down. And kudos again to that female guard that was in charge, because she had the wherewithal to keep that guy's hand on his gun to handle this problem. And in it, like Amos said, this is the turn, and when this comes about, a whole new set of rules are in play, and you have to take care of yourself and your own first. That's why she didn't really give him no flack about letting Clarissa go.
Right.
You got to go find your kid and your ex, make sure they're safe, and the rest of your family. Just go. And he didn't really have to fight her on that too hard for her to see that logic again. And she went where she needed to go. Hopefully, she found her daughter at the very least. Or, daughter or son.
Well,
I think they just said.
Once they get out and they see the devastation.
Yeah. That's, all.
That's like
of what's happened. They know this is like apocalypse rules at this time. Lost the jungle there,
Nessie, you got real choppy all of a sudden, and your video is frozen.
Yeah, we didn't hear most of that, Nessie.
Nope. I'm sorry.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I was saying that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You might need to refresh and
come back now. It's just not happening right now. Can we hear you? Yeah. Hopefully she'll be right back. Maybe a solar flare. Interference of some kind. They're jamming us. They're jamming the signal.
They're like, oh no, these people are too smart to figure it all out.
Okay, so Naomi is the episode where she sort of figures out what's going on. She takes the knife and she's going to try to assassinate Marco. Philip gets her out of there just in time, and I think he gets her out of there because he's afraid of what she's going to see in there, which I didn't see it, but Naomi did, and she figured out that there was a threat to the Rocinante.
Well, no, what tips her off is when he says you should be thankful that I took you. Yeah. I saved your life. And that's when you can see on her face that she catches the implication of that.
That's why I love her so much. She's fast. She put that shit together and put a plan in motion in 3 seconds flat.
I'm not sure who's the smartest character in the Expanse, but it is either Avasarala or Naomi. It's one of those two.
When it comes to their different arenas, absolutely. In politics, Avasarala is ahead of the game to me. And when it comes to being awesome with tech and a great engineer, which is what Naomi does, she handles that, hands down.
For sure.
Why, who was it that said, now I see why you don't have to fight with a gun? Was it Drummer?
Yeah, that was Drummer.
Yeah, because she's a whole lot more scarier when she doesn't have a weapon in her hand.
Yep. Although she had a weapon this time, and she was fully ready to stab the hell out of Marco.
And you got to do what you got to do. She saw the opportunity. She tried to go for it. I don't believe Marcus saw it coming at that time, but I think Philip did. And again, this is why I think there's some shred of him having some type of care, or maybe it's just boyish curiosity about his mom. He snatched her up real quick, tried to act like he was mad, and took her out. I think she could have got Marcus, but of course, if it wasn't for his son, he wouldn't been there.
Yeah, and well, it kind of, my mind went to that scene, in the last episode of the first season of Game of Thrones, with when Sansa goes to push Joffrey off the ledge, and the Hound just grabs her and acts like he's just wiping off the blood.
Exactly what I was thinking too, John. I had that scene in mind when I was watching this.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Am I choppy again?
No. I was looking in the chat and I completely missed what John said.
Oh, just the parallel to the scene with Sansa and the Hound at the end of Game of Thrones season 1, where he stops her from pushing Joffrey off the ledge.
Yep.
Yeah, but she, I did enjoy seeing her. Naomi is not an action character. She is a thinker. She is a talker. She is not a person of action the same way somebody like Amos or even Holden would be. Yeah. But to see her fully willing to stab Inaros, to see her, smooth talk Sin while he's doing the replacement thing, and then whack him in the face so she can grab his comm terminal. Like, that was a side of Naomi that we don't get to see, really, but it felt very in line with her character, even though it felt like something that we've never really seen her do. I believed that, Naomi would do that, because this is her family, her real people that we're talking about.
This is where she grew up. These are people that she grew up with. Her and Marcus were very young when they.
Yeah, but I'm saying she went to that really violent place, which she doesn't normally do, because of Holden, because of the Rocinante and all of them. Like, that's why she did it. That's
what I was saying, just in random different words. Sorry if it didn't come out that way. But she's back where she knows she has to be at her most dangerous to get things done sometimes. And she's gonna do it. She wasn't Marcus's girl for no reason. Clearly, she was a stout fighter at some point in time, and she hasn't lost that. She just handles things better now.
Finn calls her Knuckles. So, like,
I'm sure somebody caught them hands a few times, and they know not to mess with Naomi.
And I think this moment is actually in the next episode, but I do love that Marco is like really pissed off and mad that she screwed up the plans to blow up the Rocinante, and I love those moments where we get to see Marco sort of shaken that part of his plan.
The mirror cracks.
Didn't work out. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, take that.
It was like the third. It was like that would have been the third disaster, so to speak, taking out Tycho Station, because if the Roci had blown up after those other attacks that they'd already seen, it would have, if not severely damaged the station and taken out away the symbol of the Rocinante, that what it has become. How Marcos was saying, flying, or you got your own warship flying around with Earthers and people and Martians, and it was a symbol to him too of everything that she has become, and erasing that whole portion of her life was not just symbolic just for him, but also what it's become for the belt. They see the Rocinante and what it does as like a positive symbol, a symbol like of hope that, hey, we can all work together in some way to, solve these problems, and that would just take it off the board.
It's also a callback to the girl that shot Sakai, yeah. She at the end of their whole interrogation, where Holden says, we're going to take the Rocinante out for a hunt, she almost contemplates telling him that he should check his systems. You can see it's just for a split second.
I noticed that on my second viewing, and I found that very interesting.
Yeah, she says, I'll see you when you come back. No, I think she knows, because the proximity of where she is.
She's going to die.
Happen on the Rocinante, they're all going to die.
Okay.
So she was like, you know what? Whatever.
Yeah, she had that moment of, oh crap, if they go fire up the Roci, I'm going to die. So that's her moment of where it looks like maybe she's wavering.
Yeah.
But the first time through, I'm like, oh, is she going to flip now? Really?
No, that's interesting. So it really is just a moment of self-preservation. More than anything. I want to address what Will said, because this is what I was alluding to earlier, but we hadn't gotten there in the discussion yet. It now made sense to me why Philip took her, because it was to save her life.
And they uploaded the same virus to that ship that they used to blow up the ship that Naomi had them used to blow up the shipyard ship. So it would have been just coming full circle, turning back around, putting blood on his hands.
Yeah. The crazy part is, to think about it, if it would have happened, they might not have shown it, but I feel like at the last second, Naomi might be looking to see what's going on, and then she'll see her code, and then boom. I'm glad that didn't happen, but it's interesting to think about, to me, anyway.
The only other really thing that happened in this episode that we need to that I'll mention is that Alex and Bobby do watch the handoff of these Martian military ships to the Belters, and like a light cruiser and 2 heavy frigates.
Yeah, that's not just shipping goods.
Yeah, like the Rocinante is not even as big as a frigate.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that moment when they realize that it's the actual ships itself that is the payload. It's like, oh snap, it's not just them guns and weapons, it's an arsenal, it's a navy. I
want to say, when they get pinged and Alex says, time to go, here comes the juice, my mind just immediately went back to when she was piloting and her line, I had to look it up, hit your tits and pucker up, it's time to peel the paint, which is like one of the all-time greatest lines. I did love that. It's like, oh, here we go.
Hold on, I'm hitching my tits real quick.
Yeah, the girls around there, they got comfortable. I also say, we don't get to see them as much this season, but All of their interactions are filled with really good, heartfelt, and awesome action. Bobby and Alex are lightweight my heroes for this season. They're going through all the random spy shit, following the clues, and stopping things where they can, and just being clever on some random space MacGyver stuff. And I'm very much appreciating their interactions.
Yeah, there's just something about seeing the two Martians who are kind of have been pushed out.
Yeah, the two displaced
by their culture, and seeing them work together, and especially in the Razorback, which that ship is just awesome. So
Screaming Firehawk. The Screaming Firehawk. I don't know if that's in it or not, but I love that they renamed the ship.
Well, and I just want to make it clear that the ships that were trading hands here, okay, they're not Donager class. The Donager was quite big. It's basically a battleship. But the smaller ship, which would be the heavy frigate, they're probably at least twice the size of the Rocinante, and therefore probably twice the firepower. And that light cruiser is going to be heavy. Is going to be larger still. So that's a pretty decent chunk of firepower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Firepower, as far as weapons on board, but also it's big enough to where you could have a substantial boarding party or parties on there as well. So even if you might escape a firefight, you might have some trickery thinking you can get them coming in the door. Once they dock and they put boots on your ship, it's a wrap. You're going to be overwhelmed no matter how smart you are.
And can I just say another part of this is, Peadar, I should just go ahead and call it the Screaming Firehawk at this point, because it's been renamed. And I do like that Alex finally got to rename a ship for the Screaming Firehawk. But there's just something, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, the stuff about the actor. We covered that last stream. I'm not going to go back into it.
We can talk about Alex though.
But Alex is still, since the beginning, he's been one of my favorite characters. It was in the first season, I said it was him and Miller were my favorites, and I just love Alex, at the controls of this, ship, because he's got that relationship with the Rocinante, but just him behind the wheel, so to speak, of any ship. It's just a lot of fun. Like I said, when he says "here we go," it's like I just get a thrill out of seeing him go to work and do his thing.
Yeah, I think it's also really cool because you see the two of them really in their element. Like, we haven't seen Bobby give a true smile for a while now. When she's in her suit, she's fighting these guys off and holding the freaking docking bay to give Alex enough time to plant that bomb and get back to their ship. She has this great laugh that they did it, they made it after, because that's her in her true element. This is what she's trained for as long as any of us could remember since meeting her character for it. This is what she's supposed to be doing. And I love that she takes full enjoyment in that.
Yeah. Before we finish this episode / move on to the next one, Anna has a great question about the Belters' ability to go against Earth and Mars at the same time. Earth's fleet is massive. Mars's fleet is obviously the most technologically advanced. But one of the things that is going on right now, and it's really hard to sort of wrap your head around it as somebody who lives in the modern world, but the ability for either of those nation states, Earth or Mars, to continue to fund their navies is basically gone.
Well, we saw them dismantling the Martian Navy in the spring.
And Earth is overpopulated, and a lot of their people can't hardly eat, and now there's a humanitarian crisis going on. Their ability to maintain that fleet is actually going to be seriously diminished from the aftermath. There's going to be less food produced on Earth for a couple of years while all the dust lowers global temperatures. Even if it's just a few degrees, it's enough to you know, when we have,
Impact food production.
or when we have these you know, volcanic eruptions like Krakatoa, they called that the year without a summer, where you know, the rivers froze in July in North America. So Earth is going to be not in a position to maintain their fleet. Mars already isn't.
Yeah, that's
So
why they're selling stuff, and like Holden said, it's going to be a bloody gold rush, you know, of the space age, because everyone's gunning for this new world. No one really cares about making Mars more stable than it is anymore. They're going for the shinier piece of gold.
Yeah.
right.
So they're
And
fighting wars on too many fronts, just like Earth. They're, you know, like butter spread over, you know, too much bread. Marcos has a chance, sadly.
yeah, and you know, if you want to talk about it from a purely strategic standpoint, pretty brilliant what Marco is doing.
Yeah.
Um, but and you're right, Anna. That's going to be less food for belters as well. They literally discussed that maybe in episode 6. That gets brought up though, about the idea that agriculture has been a way that the inners have controlled the belters
Yeah,
since
10 years, I
the
think,
beginning.
for them to fully be self-sufficient. It's going to take that time to get all the crops planted and really get everybody in the system. So and he is absolutely willing to sacrifice anyone who dies along the way. It's
Yep.
not considered.
When he talks about lean years, he's not talking about himself either.
Yeah, he means everybody else.
They never are.
Yeah.
Yeah, he means everybody else.
Okay, so we gave about an hour to the first episode. We've given about 40 minutes to this one. We've got about 6 minutes left in the stream, so we can all cram that. We can cram in one more episode in 6 minutes, right? Okay, you ready? Here it goes. Holden takes the Roci out after
wait.
Oscar Sorrella meets the new Secretary General, who's out of his league and asks for
Hey.
Alex used trickery to defeat a Belter boarding party and their ship.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert. But you can't understand what I was saying anyway because I was purposely talking too fast. But yes, spoilers. We are moving on to episode 6 now. I know that Will, you had said you hadn't seen it yet, so I hope you come back and watch the rest of this once you've had a chance to catch up. So yeah, episode 6. We'll just give everybody a minute to make sure that they're out. Okay. Cool. So episode 6. Holden and the Roci are on the move. This is the first time the Rocinante has moved this entire season. It's been in dock the whole time.
But this is what I was talking about earlier with on some of these episodes, we actually only get characters for like a single scene. Holden is in, one of the earliest scenes of the episode where the Roci takes off, and then he's not in it for the rest of the episode. Just we get to see I don't who's the reporter's what's the reporter's name again?
Monica.
Where Monica boards, talks her way on to joining them, and then we get to see Holden go and see the message that Naomi left him in case something goes wrong, which of course it did. And then that's all we get from them, which I'm dying to see what happens with them, because I do like seeing this sort of new dynamic with Holden interacting with these different characters.
Yeah, with Bull and Monica both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with the vacuum that Fred's death leaves in the system, it would be very easy to see Holden kind of stepping into that type of a role too, as he's separated from the rest of his crew. That voice that people listen to.
Which, and I have to say, and I'm conscious of the fact that, of course, Holden's whole character fits into the idea of he's the typical, white male, hero type of the show, but I do get sort of a thrill from the fact that Marco's plan was foiled, and that now, not just that Holden as a character is, moving forward and going to, quote unquote, go after them and all that stuff, but that Holden, as his reputation has been built up, as that now people in the system, his death was not allowed to, sort of further cement Marco's quote unquote victory. And that Holden, the person who's become famous for, for doing all these great things, is kind of out there as a symbol. And there is something thrilling about that part of Marco's plan being thwarted.
Yeah.
And another thing, like what I was talking about before, where, the great thing about seeing the cracks in Marco, I also love that moment when a drummer comes onto the ship and she starts talking about, why am I drawing a blank? I keep forgetting all these characters' names. Ashford, there we go. I can't believe I forgot his name. She starts talking about the song that Ashford, sang as he was dying, and you see that like flash on Marco's face, like, wait a second, how did she know that? And it's like, yeah, he outsmarted you, asshole. And I just love seeing those little cracks.
Yeah, he said something to the effect of, "Yeah, you're in his ship, aren't you? Like, we've got some unfinished business here."
Yeah.
The elephant in the room right there was, what happened with Ashford.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
And that way too, Kamina can kind of disguise her feelings about what Naomi and their connect. If she focuses more like, my problem with you is Ashford, and that's the main focus that I have. Our beef is over Ashford. She can kind of slip under the radar about, oh, hey, there's Philip over there. Hi, Philip. What's up? She notices Philip. She doesn't acknowledge him, but she notices that he's there.
Right.
Yeah, it's exactly right, Betsy. And I, as much as, I'm saying that I'm enjoying seeing Holden paired up with some different people, but at the same time, I really want our core group to get back together and jointly, kick Marco's ass.
I think we all want that.
Yeah.
Really bad. And not just us, people in world want that. I think Naomi would like to get back to her crew. Pretty sure Amos would like to get back to her crew.
Oh God, I know that's the end of the episode, but
we'll get there. But
it really is the moment of the episode for me.
Yeah, when she's talking with Philip, and she says, she had to save her family. In that moment where they're talking about why she, sent that message, and how, he's very angry at her, but it's like, I had to save my family, and that kind of stung him a little bit. That they're your family.
What did I miss? What part are we on?
We're still talking about Holden taking the Roci out, and just sort of our overall feelings about that.
And I was delighting in all the cracks we see in Marco in this episode, from when he learns that the Roci wasn't destroyed, and also when Drummer brings up Ashford singing, you can see that flash on his face of, wait, how did you know about that? And realizing that
what did his people miss, because they stripped that ship, they stripped it, and they took all the data and whatnot.
And it goes back to what I was saying on the last stream, where I love the fact that Ashford got his victory in that moment. It's kind of another Game of Thrones parallel. It's like that Ned Stark moment in Baylor, where he's able to save Arya at the last. And in the same way, Ashford was able to save a lot of lives with his final act.
Yeah. And I think he put it in a place to where if Kamina did come looking, she would be the one to find it. And I appreciated that. I appreciate the fact that she had thought to go find his ship, period, because there's a lot of, key information she might have missed if she hadn't gotten that message. So, she you can see it rolling off of her right as they board the ship. She's already throwing daggers at this dude and knows that there's something else that she's really missing. And she pushes and pushes. And, Marco is smart in doing the exchange of crew, but it seems like there's only like one person that goes from his ship to.
Yeah, but he's got a hostage he's got a hostage of hers and a spy on her ship.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to give him to that on tacticals. That's actually pretty brilliant. However, for his choice here in their exchange, gives me pause about all this random hatred he's still trying to throw at Naomi. She said, next time you really want to kill her, just ask me to do it. And 10 minutes later, he's booting her off the ship.
Yeah.
I think that's somewhat telling, and she doesn't look very happy about it either. So I think she realizes the same thing. He might talk all hard, but you don't mean that shit. You don't at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
he tried to get, because the speed, the thing was, it was, if you want to kill her, you do it.
mm-hmm.
He didn't want to do it. He wanted his hands clean.
Yeah, and it's just as you
sin for that.
It's just as you say, AK, the fact that she's the one that he has to leave the ship, I think shows his hand that he doesn't want Naomi dead.
I disagree.
Don't think so?
Naomi can be killed by a lot of people, including Marco. He doesn't need Corral there to do anything about Naomi if he wants it done truly. But what he does need is one of his most loyal people on Drummer's ship.
Yeah. With eyes on her.
He's actually getting rid of somebody who might hurt Naomi. I think he's going, you're my most loyal person. I'm going to put you where I need you the most.
I think it could be both.
It could be.
Quite honestly, yeah. So yeah, I'm here. I'm here with you on that. Yeah.
My read on it when I watched it was that's why she was going, not because she told Marco she'd kill, not to save Naomi, but more to keep Drummer in line.
And kudos to Drummer, because yet again we see how quick this woman is to see through the bullshit. And soon, Marco stops in mid-sentence, but she figures it out right there. Like, oh,
But Naomi's on that ship.
Yeah, Naomi's on that ship. And more cracks in Philip, and you see him how his mind is starting to piece stuff together. He gives her this long stare after everyone else walks away, and it's basically confirming she's here. I done fucked up. Come get her.
Yeah. And it was all about the story, something about the story of how they went through the ring. Maybe, ask somebody who was there or something about to that effect, where Philip wanted to know about what happened. So it was, I can't remember the exact details, but it was something to do with that story. And then he goes and asks his mom later.
I just want to ask, is it just me or has AK frozen?
Yeah, she's frozen.
Okay. Can y'all hear me though?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, that's weird. All right, let me see if I can fix this. BRB.
I mean, as long as we can hear you, that's the main thing.
All right. This is so.
But okay,
it's really interesting because I did not expect to feel much sympathy for Philip in this season. It just I assumed that I just see him as the little piece of shit, honestly. But right. I do like the fact that they've made him very layered and and someone who's trying to feel his own way, and he's starting to see the tracks, so to speak, and to look for different ways than just what his father always tells him. So
well, seeing that altercation between his two fathers, his father and his dad, when they're going to blows about the fate, deciding whether or not they're gonna space Naomi or what have you. And Sin is, he backs him down, and when they have that moment in the elevator, and he's like, this isn't the first time we've ever come to blows, it wouldn't be the first time, and that implies it also won't be the last time.
Yeah. I really appreciated that, the way Sin stood up to Marco in the moment, because you get the sense that maybe he was at some point in the past, Sin was the older, was the adult, and Marco was a young kid coming up. So Sin is probably a mentor who kind of eventually got outstripped by his mentee, who had a bigger vision and was willing to go farther to achieve those ends. And he kind of slotted into that advisor role going on, but you could tell in that moment that Sin was ready to say, this is a line that I'm not going to let you cross, Marco, and I'll get up in your face about it and everything.
Yeah.
And also, I want to say, jumping back to the previous episode for a second, but when he was saying to Naomi about, watching the change in Philip, and so you don't see the change all at once, but day by day, it happens. He could just as easily be talking about his part in the cause and following Marco. It's kind of, you go along day to day and you kind of chip away at maybe a part of your morality and what you're willing to do. And I think that's where he kind of finds himself, because I think at heart he's probably a good person, but he's gone so far along on this path that I think and the fact that he has so much, what he considers family, who are part of that, and it's been kind of easy for him, I think, to go along and convince himself that it's the right thing for his people and all that. But the fact that he's willing to, I think he's taking stock of what's going on, and maybe he's gone down the wrong path. So it'll be really interesting to see where his character goes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I do love that interaction that Naomi and Philip have in the cell. When he's so mad at her for sending out that distress call and what have you, and then they just get down to it, and they're talking about Marco and how Marco what has he done to you? He's blood on your hands. Philip says, he's made me a fighter. He's made me strong. And he's like, Naomi's like, he's only in it for himself. He only loves himself. And he knows you're willing to die. He'll let you die for him, but he's not willing to die for you.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
it's the heart of the matter right there.
And again, it's really hard to listen to Philip say those things, because you're hearing the words of a radicalized young man, but hopefully there's just those little cracks that'll allow him to maybe come out of that.
He's a 15-year-old. There's still hope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's
we get to Amos and Clarissa.
Oh no, we'll get there. But actually, the next scene is Avasarala again, meeting the new Secretary General, or an acting Secretary General.
Oh, that poor guy.
Did I not love this scene?
Transportation Secretary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling so sorry for this guy.
Is that mimicking that show Designated Survivor? Wasn't that the Transportation Secretary as well?
Maybe.
Yeah,
but this is where that Easter egg comes in, because she's checking her messages on her device. She's trying to see if she's got a message from Arjun on there. And she's got in her contacts list, let's see, S. Clegane, No, not S. G. Clegane, because it's Gregor. It's definitely the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
Vivian Banks or V. Banks is in there. Who
Yeah.
else was in there? Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Was
B.
in-
Connor. That was the one I picked up on. Becky Connor.
Yeah, Becky Connor, B. Connor. And these were all actors who have been played by more, or they're all characters who've been played by more than one actor.
Yeah, that they've been recast during the series runs.
Yeah, including her husband, Arjun.
That's
Arjun.
You know, this kind of shows how many people were killed during that. Like the chain of command had to go all the way down at that guy, and he knows he is a fish out of water, and he needs to get the best person for the job that he can get to be hand of the king, and that is Christian.
And that
I completely agree.
And this whole thing was very reminiscent, obviously, of Battlestar Galactica. The fact that, you had the Secretary of Education become the president of the colonies, and so it's a similar thing here. Although I think this guy is even much more of a fish out of water. He's gonna, if he makes it at all, he's gonna have to learn some things very quickly. But yeah, Anna brings up an excellent point. Something in his favor is definitely that he immediately recognizes that he needs someone like Christian to help him and to be part of what's going to happen. Yep. She knows what to do.
It gives me hope that he might actually be a decent Secretary General. He doesn't need to. He just needs to be smart enough to put the right people in the right places, and it'll be okay. And he doesn't tell her, I need someone like you. He says, I need you. You were the one that made this happen before. Yeah. You are going to help. If you'll do it, please come help. And how great is it that she's crying, she's vulnerable in her office by herself. He comes in, asks her to get back out there and fight. She puts her armor back on, smooths out her, by armor, I mean her like bling.
Her necklace. Yeah. Her necklace. She
like writes herself and she's off she goes.
And the fact that she's having some trouble with it and she, is cursing.
Yeah, her hands
every now and then you see those cracks in Christian, and it's always a good thing to see. Because while she is this awesome mastermind that does screw up sometimes, but a lot more of the time has the best interest of folks in her decisions, it's really good to see that she just isn't always in her headspace all the time. She gets taken out of it. The emotions are always real and on point and genuine. It's really great to see.
Well, the Treasury, the Secretary General, acting Secretary General, whatever, first thing he does is praise and thank her for saving millions of lives. Her dedication to her task and getting that information to the person that it needed to hear in just those split seconds saved millions and millions of lives. But then it's like, okay, let's move on because we've got millions more to save.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good job. You're back in the saddle again. Let's go to work.
And also, I just love her interactions with Amos for this season thus far. And honorable mention is he's just great.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think even more enjoyable might have been their interactions on the behind the scenes video or whatever, the actors, because that was quite.
I gotta watch those.
What is this?
On
the after parties.
Yeah, the post episode discussions that they've been doing, just seeing those two talking. I can tell that chemistry comes from just the two of them.
Yeah, I did like that story. Yeah, she predicted. I'm looking at the script. She taps Amos on the shoulder. It's like, this show's gonna last 5, maybe 6 years tops. And now here we are with Christian the Prophet. Because after season 6, we're not sure what's going to happen.
She was right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm here for all of it.
Me too.
So I'm looking forward to seeing, how she's going to start.
We got a lot. We got a long ways to go.
We did get a little bit of Amos and Bobby in this episode as well, and it was great stuff.
You mean Alex and Bobby?
Yeah, Alex and Bobby. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying. The Amos Peaches stuff. There was a lot of it this episode, and I'm kind of saving it for last because it. But yeah, there was a really interesting Alex and Bobby scene. That it was kind of nerve-wracking watching him jump from the belt ship back to the screaming firehawk.
That whenever they portray that in any movie, it always scares the crap out of me.
It's terrifying.
I can't think of anything more terrifying than just floating away in space.
Just hoping you hit. Just hoping your math was correct.
But it was a really cool plan, because I'm sure it was Bobby's plan. It was a really cool idea to do. And I love that when he hits the the emergency ignition, Bobby's just standing there, but Alex is just like flat on the floor, just whoomp from all that thrust. But he's still celebrating, like screaming and hollering, like because they pulled it off.
That's how Alex been out the game with the Martian military for a while.
Yeah.
That shit didn't really make Bobby flinch at all. She stayed on her feet.
And anytime just her in her suit and she's actually holding the ships together, and
well, now we know what she had to pack. She said she had to pack a few things. So what does Bobby pack for a trip?
Right.
We see what she packs for a trip in the racer pack.
Look, if I had that, I would never leave home without it. Shit, especially nowadays. You will give me my 6 feet, damn it.
Well, there was never any doubt what she was bringing, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Like, we met her wearing power armor. Her most most of her super badass iconic moments take place with her in power armor. How is she not going to bring the power armor?
Right? Don't leave home without it.
The access that she had to all those stored goods, I would have had like 3 of those daggone suits and several of their awesome big guns.
Yep. And then they're free and clear of the Belters who are following them. I actually think they're probably going to go try to hook up with the Roci now.
Yeah.
I think that's the next step. We kind of see everybody thinking about home or what they could make a home. Holden's been homesick forever because his crew's not on their ship. Bobby is just trying to keep herself busy so she doesn't have to think about the ruin that her life has been. And Alex is getting there now too. And Amos is the one that just flat out says it. I need to get back to my crew.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of, let's talk about Amos and Peaches wandering in through the woods, and just how great this pairing was this episode. Mm-hmm. Because as much as I loved episode 4 overall, these two walking through the woods on Earth in the snow, I'm like, this is a science fiction show, but this could just be like 2 people on a walk, on Earth in the winter, here and now, and just
trying to survive.
Just trying to survive, yeah.
It could have been. It had a decidedly not sci-fi feel to it. Oh, my camera's off. It had a down to like taking the wooden bridge over the river in the snow.
Meeting the hiker out in the woods where they scavenge supplies off of him. He's just like, that could have been somebody I know. That could have been somebody now. You didn't see that it's 300 years in the future. It could have been right now.
Yeah.
Well, and just the fact that this entire stretch of the episode is all about, them questioning if this guy they encounter, is sitting in the woods is, the type of, person who's, come at, after them, and like they're having this conversation, but then by the end of the episode, they're the ones who have gone and taken what they needed from this other guy who may, clearly wasn't a great guy, but still they, as Clarissa says, they went out of their way to, to kill him and take his stuff.
They were going to kill him and take his stuff no matter what.
Yeah.
The fact that he turned out to be kind of a bad dude was just a bonus. That they weren't killing somebody.
I also was side-eyeing that first guy in the woods, and I'm wondering why he was just the first and they didn't run into anybody else, because you would think there's some nature survivalist people that would have already had their own camps out there, but that's really neither here nor there. That's just a random thought in my head. And thank goodness though that this pairing works so well, because I think Clarissa was able to read that guy's cues almost as quickly as Amos did. And Amos knew he needed to, concoct this story and make this guy believe it if he was going to get to his goal.
So
but the guy was,
but again, it's like misdirection for the audience, because my eyes were on, is this guy sitting at the campfire? Is he sketchy? Getting a bad vibe, but in the end, no, he was just doing his own thing, taking care of himself, and it's actually Amos and Clarissa that we have to have our eyes on, because
I wouldn't say that he was necessarily not up to any good, because I will trust Amos's judgment on in probably 99% of the things, and he grew up around dudes like that, so he recognized immediately to that they needed to leave, and I think that was the right call. Going to the guy, he probably was never going to be negotiated with in any way, shape, or form, even if they did have something to trade with him. So that was only ever going to go down one way.
Didn't.
They totally didn't.
Well, that's the thing, though. Amos and Clarissa intended for it to go down the way it did. Like that was the thing from the very beginning. We're going to kill this guy, and because he's got stuff we need, and the whole, which leads Amos to I really got to get back to my crew, because he realizes Hold'em never would have approved this plan.
Yeah, I mean, that is my favorite moment of the episode. It's that realization on Amos's part that he needs his family to at least, if not make him good, at least keep him wanting to pretend to be a good person, or to not pretend, but to live life as a good person. And without that, he's just going to descend very quickly.
I love the conversation.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nessie.
Oh, I love the conversation that it's like one continuing conversation with these two from the beginning of their walk through the woods until the final scene. They're talking, they're comparing. Clarissa makes this offhand comment. Yeah, my grandfather planted this forest. Amos is like, I've never seen trees. And their background, how different they are in their backgrounds. We would come here as on field trips from school. Amos, I've never been to school. They're at the beginning, it's showing all those contrasts between the two. But as the scene goes forward, they start off like two different worlds, and in the very end, they're both monsters. They're both the same monsters. What they have in common.
I've lived my whole life like this. The rest of the world's just playing catch up.
Just playing catch up. Yeah.
You know what that actually sounds like?
I'm sorry. Who? AK, was that you?
It was. I don't know if you watched like the beginning stages of Fear the Walking Dead. And that was a line that I think his name was Nick, the character that was Alicia's brother. He said something like that too, because he's spent a few years being a drug addict and hallucinating really crazy shit. So when really crazy shit started walking around, he was like, okay, now I know what to do. I gotta get the hell out of Dodge and try to survive. And Amos and Clarissa are very much the same way. And I think it's weird to see Amos in that big brother mentality, the way he is with Clarissa. But I'm glad it's that way because it shows for really great interactions and her, I think, trying to free herself of the weight that she's had of everything that she's done. So Amos is helping her a lot on that.
Yeah, and I want to acknowledge, Potter, you brought it up a couple of times, that you didn't really like the way they portrayed Clarissa Mao's mod when she clicked it in. And I mean, I understand that people's opinions are what they are, but I actually thought it was kind of brilliant the way they did it with that high-pitched whine that you could hear before seeing her, because that's the same sound they've used every time she's clicked it in. And then that sort of frenetic, blurry, animalistic, and the frame rate so sped up.
Also, I think that there's an important point that needs to be made, that it would be very easy now that, she's aligned more on a, what we could consider a quote unquote good side, because she's doing this to save Amos. And it would be very easy for when she goes into her, sort of, mode of, having all the strength and violence, it'd be very easy for it to look like she's using a superpower or something. I think the way they portray it shows that this is a very violent, dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm. And she immediately collapses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah, but she really just messes him up so bad.
Yeah.
And then even down to the way she snatches up that rifle and puts a bullet through him at the end. It's so quick. It's so precise. Like, she is moving faster than any human ought. And I can understand somebody who did not like it. I can understand not appreciating that specific choice. I thought it was great. Like, I really thought it was great the way it almost hit me in the face with how disorienting it was. And that's what I think it would feel like to be poor old, survivalist in the woods. He was probably feeling pretty terrible in that moment.
Yeah, she did that so fast that it surprised Amos.
Right.
Amos really doesn't get too surprised about anything, but he wasn't expecting that to happen.
I will say this too. Amos is, in this situation, he's so smart. Like, he knows that there's no sun to shoot him.
Yeah.
The ice on the muzzle.
Into the barrel.
Yeah.
If that gun barrel been sitting there for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew there was nobody behind the trigger.
Yeah, and that's just crazy. It's well woven together, and I love the ebb and flow of it, and he really is taking on this huge big brother role, and like with her, the nightmare that she was having in the poem that she said in her sleep. He even consoles her in that, and tries to make her see what things really are. And Amos is the perfect one to have to do this for her. And I think he's challenging his inner. What was his mom's name? Lydia.
Lydia.
Something like that. Yeah. He's channeling her and Naomi at the same time. And I think that's really great. It's almost like a pay it forward, and our baby boy's growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but just the way he closes out the episode, saying the way he says those lines, Holden never would have. Odin
approved of what they did.
He says Holden and not Naomi.
Yeah, I need to get back to my crew. It's so haunting, and you fear for Amos, and again, I just have to keep going back to my initial ambivalence to Amos in the first season, and now I'm like so scared for him, losing, that part of himself that wants to be good, who wants to do good things. And so I want him to get back to the crew, not just because I want to see them all together again, but because I don't want him to go down an even darker path.
Yeah.
And
going feral. Amos has been going feral ever since he arrived back on Earth, back in his old neighborhood, back seeing his old people, just touching that life, getting the memories from Lydia, and just being confronted with all that. And then after that, to be placed in a situation where he has to use every bit of what's in him, his darker side, to survive in that situation. You know, he still has that little light in the back of his head thinking about it, you know, getting back to the crew. So he realizes he's gone, you know, he's gone feral. And he needs to get back to his lodestone, you know, his North Star people.
Yeah.
So now they all realize, hey, it's time to get back together, guys. You got to get the band back together. Shit's going down.
How many episodes do we have in this season?
10.
10? Okay. So if not the next episode, the episode after, I think, is where at least most of the team will come back together. And then they're going to have to go get Naomi.
Which, and I have to say, like, you just referenced Fear the Walking Dead a few minutes ago. There's a moment in, a couple seasons ago in The Walking Dead where Rick and Daryl haven't seen each other for a whole season because, there's a whole story there I won't get into, but they're closest brothers, and there's that moment where they reunite, and it's really emotional, and to see these two guys back together. And I kind of wonder if it, when we see Holden and Amos reunite, if we're gonna have similar feels. I hope so.
The episode title is Tribes, and you can really see how that plays in, where every faction is broken down into little tribal societies of people just trying to survive. When the society breaks down, everything reverts back to a tribal type mentality.
Yeah, it's that apocalypse thing that happens. It's like they did on the 100. All different factions of folks, and everyone's scared and still trying to survive, and they're fighting for resources, and that's what's happening now on Earth, and probably in different places on Mars. I don't think they got hit as bad as Earth did, but they're all in the struggle now, which is why Marcos is going to be able to take very good advantage of this situation, because not too many eyes are on him, because they can't be on him.
Well, it was two very surgical strikes that happened to take out the government of both Mars and Earth. Yeah. Boom, boom. When the rock hit New York, it took the entire UN, everything with it.
And then the third one took Gao and everybody she was with.
Yeah.
Which probably would have been most of her cabinet,
Yeah. I mean, not just the whole infrastructure, the whole bureaucratic infrastructure is in chaos right now. So.
And can I also say, we didn't really talk about it, but I also love that moment between Christian and Gao before the plane goes down, where she says, I forget what the actual dialogue.
I admire your persistence. I prefer to think of it as perseverance.
I'm sure you do.
I bet you do.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh.
You know what? Like the look on her face, though, once she really puts everything together after taking that call, there's a small moment where she's like, damn it, I should have listened to her. And I think she was beating her. She was really in her headspace about that. And we probably would have seen an emotional breakdown at some point, but she's gone now. So, say la vie.
Okay, y'all. We've gone well over our normal time. I have to pee real bad.
Welcome to that stream life.
Yeah, it is what it is. But
looking at the guy who does like 4.5 hour streams without batting an eye. Sorry.
Okay, but I have a tiny bladder, I guess. But at any rate, I think we kind of gave each of these episodes their due. We really gave them plenty of good time. But yeah, I think we're ready to. I'm ready to call it. Any final thoughts? Anything you're looking forward to in the next couple of episodes?
Oh my God, Jess.
I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to
thank you, Jess. That is a winning comment right there.
one country for another. Yeah, good job there, Steven. I'm looking forward to what the interactions with Kamina and the crew are going to be with Marcos' spy. And I'm wondering, I know she's formulating something in her head, Carmina. I mean, and I don't know how she's going to pull it off, but I think there's definitely going to be a rescue attempt. And it's going to be very interesting and exciting to see. Possibly heartbreaking.
Yeah, like I don't know exactly. That's the thing. You know, things aren't as simple as, you know, a drummer was willing to kind of go along with this whole thing. She's just sort of trying to play it smart and take it step by step. But now that she knows that Naomi is there on this ship, it's like it's only a matter of time now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Nessie? What are you looking forward to?
Well, like I was saying, it's time to get the crew back together. So I'm curious as to how Amos is going to get off Earth. I'm sure. I have a feeling he's going to be making contact with his good buddy Eric. You know, try to get. You know, we'll see how that plays out. But they're headed to Baltimore.
But you know, it's like he said, "Don't ever come back."
I know. So it's set up for Amos to come back. You know, and this is not going to be a probably not going to be as nice a meeting as the first one was, you know, because of this, everything has changed. You know, Eric may be trying to get himself off planet. Who knows? So it's going to be pretty dicey getting off planet.
In fairness to Amos, it's like the situation changed a little bit.
It is the churn, and Eric's got to know how good Amos is in that situation for sure. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to is whatever's next with Amos and Clarissa.
Yeah,
because
that's going to be where. Yeah,
agreed.
I want to see what Baltimore looks like. I want to see what's going to happen there. Obviously, Amos is my favorite character on the show, but I also think that at least right now his is. That's not true. Because Naomi, the stuff with Naomi is so good right now.
Yeah. And we got the mystery of what's going on with the proto-molecule. What is the plan for the proto-molecule? It's in play again.
I think the plan is to hold it is just to have it as like it's the nuclear deterrent.
Bargaining too.
Like you have to submit to the Free Navy's demands, or we'll just drop proto-molecule on Earth and everybody will die.
Yeah. They've shown they can throw rocks and hit Earth.
But against, you know, Marcos's well-laid plans, Holden and company are now in pursuit of the proto-molecule. So
we'll have to see where that goes.
So all right, cool. Well, that's the end, y'all. That is, we're 2.5 hours and we got a little bit of a late start, so I really am going to wrap this up now. I will say to everyone who is here, thank you. Oh, wait a minute. Rock, you got something?
No, I just covered my face. I can't. The light is killing me.
You should have done that earlier.
The beard's coming in good, though.
It is coming in.
And we love to see it.
And we do love to see it. Soon you'll be shaming me all over again. But so AK, I know you got some guest spots coming up soon on Monaro, Geek TV, and something else you said too.
It's John's channel.
Yeah. Okay, John's channel. Yeah.
We're in chat about some Black History moments as far as film and whatnot is concerned. Yeah.
There you go.
We need to get in touch so we can figure out what movie we want to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. We can get that in this week.
Nessie, I know this Thursday. Is it Thursday?
It's going to be Thursday. We had to work around John's work schedule, but we hammered it out for Thursday. Time to be determined. I still have to find out when John is working.
Thursday talking about
I'll be good on Thursday, so I can do it whenever.
John, Saturday talking about Mean Girls.
Yeah, which I still have to watch.
It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for that stream. And then join us on Here Be Dragons next Sunday for a look at Cobra Kai.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I've enjoyed what I've seen of it so far.
I've really enjoyed it myself.
I'm sorry,
Pat, all those 80s feels, man.
Patter, I'm going to shame you. Yeah, we're doing Howard the Duck for Black History Month.
Yeah, obviously.
Shame.
Is there even a black person in that movie? If they are, they're a background actor, and that's it.
Like, I haven't seen it since I was like, so.
Yeah, I think I was a kid when I saw that too, and yeah, there are some random hinky things, that damn little duck got into.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, I love you guys. I'm going to go pee now, and we'll see you all back here next week. I guess it's not John, nor Nessie, nor AK will be here. It'll just be me and a couple of returning guests and one new guest that we've never had before. So I'm really looking forward to that. All right. Also, I plan, for those of you who care to do it, probably going to jump on Zoom after this. I've missed you guys. I've been away for having, it was the holidays and stuff, and I was busy, and I've missed you guys. So I'm probably going to jump on the Zoom here pretty shortly.
After you go pee.
After I go pee. But but I guess that's it. So you know what it is. Until next time, everyone, peace and be excellent to each other.